Hi everyone, my name's Helen Zahos. I'm coming to you today from Ukraine. I'm actually here on a medical mission at the moment, but I've had the opportunity to sit with some journalists during my time here and get some of their insights onto their first impressions here in Ukraine in a war zone, and also some advice from them on how to cope during these heightened experiences and workplaces. I hope that you enjoy some of these interviews. You'll notice that I was at breakfast for most of them and I happened to capture them just on my mobile phone. So I also had a croaky voice due to my bronchitis, so please excuse me for that. I hope that you get some great insight onto their time here and some great advice.
My name is Ben Wedemen. I'm senior international correspondent for CNN based in Rome, previously based in Beirut, previously based in Jerusalem, previously based in Rome, previously based in Egypt, anyway, Jordan, various other places. I've been with CNN for 28 years. I've been a journalist for about 34 years. And I'm here in Ukraine covering the conflict. This is my second tour here. We have a few days left.
What were your expectations when you came? I know you've been to Beirut and other conflict kind of regions.
I've been basically my entire career has been covering wars, and the first thing you learn is whatever you're expecting, what you find is completely different. And this is sort of, I was in Bosnia, I was in Kosovo, but this is my first major war ever. I covered everything in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, but just in terms of scale, this is the biggest war I've covered. But every war is different. This war is different, just not only in the scale, but sort of the consequences of it, really.
I know for me, the doctor last night, to try and protect me, he showed me some images on his phone. I haven't actually been into the front line or into the hospital to see those kind of injuries yet, but for me, even just the images were probably the most horrific I've ever seen in nearly 25 years of nursing and paramedics. You behind the camera, or you on the front line, because you really have...
I'm in front of the camera.
You're in front of the camera. Yeah. Well, sorry.
But anyway, yeah.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. Like you're... witnessing it firsthand. How do I word this? Well, how do you cope with it?
I've been doing it so long. I've seen plenty, and this is as bad. There are places like Iraq, suicide bombings and things like that are much harder to deal with in terms of the randomness of it. You get used to it. When you're younger, sometimes you get over it by going to the bar. I've reached the point where on an assignment like this, don't drink. Get as much sleep as possible, because but in terms of trauma, you get used to it. So oftentimes when I return from a rough trip, I have, nightmares for a few days, maybe a few weeks, but you get over it. Some people find it harder, but I think the longer you do it, you get used to it.
I know you just gave some advice then, but what would you tell young journalists that are at university about to graduate and coming out into, fresh, new young journalists? What advice?
Have an open mind. Don't come with any sort of preconceived notions of what you're going to see. Discard all prejudices and stereotypes and just have an open mind. Everywhere you go is always a new experience. Most of my life I've covered the Middle East, so for me, covering a major land war in Europe was a new thing. And so as long as you come to experience, to learn, and don't come thinking you know everything. Don't assume you're wildly ignorant, and don't be embarrassed to admit it, that I don't know that much, or I didn't before I came here, about Ukraine. You learn as you go along, but just keep an open mind. If you're coming to a conflict zone, be very careful. I know when I was starting out, I was crazy. I did crazy things. Now it's like I think twice, and there's no point in losing your life or limbs in this business.
Yeah, I know. Last night when we arrived, you've arrived now in the daylight. For everyone that's watching, we're in a lobby of a hotel, but last night it was dark. We arrived in darkness. We were ushered through the side door. No lights were allowed to be on. Strict instructions about keeping curtains closed, not having lights on. And for you, that sounds probably normal. For me, that was really unusual. It's the first time I've...
But, I mean, this is the first war I've been in where there's an imposed blackout.
Yeah.
And, in fact, the closer you get to the front, the looser the rules are. We were in Kramatorsk. We had our lights on. We were doing live broadcasts from the balcony. Nobody seemed to mind.
Yeah. Have you, out of interest, have you downloaded the app, the alarms app that notifies you?
Yeah, of course. But
I slept through mine last night twice.
Everybody here does.
Yeah.
I downloaded it, but I put it on mute because you hear it anyway. And I've only been to bomb shelters to look at them. I've never actually gone to hide there.
No. I know yesterday when we were driving along, one of our alerts went off and we happened to be driving past an area where a missile had hit just in the distance, so you could actually visually see all the smoke and everything. So that for us was it brought it home that we're actually here. It's so surreal. It feels like you're on holidays almost because it's such a beautiful country and everyone's just so beautiful.
This time of year is actually stunning.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.